Good morning. We're back on the farm, back in the country, which apparently was iffy. No, that's a good thing. So for those of you that don't know, I was gone last week. Wife and I were down in Mexico, in Cancun. Came back on Saturday, and then yesterday saw the news about this cartel guy getting killed and all the stuff going on, but that's on the west coast side of Mexico, and I don't think the Cancun people are too affected by it. So either way, I'm glad to be home. We're going to work on our corn planter today. So Xander should be here a little bit later. I'm going to talk to him, see how everything went and all the stuff that he did on it while I was gone last week. But looks like we're in good shape. So we do have a little project for the day on it, though. So some of you will remember that last year we put on these little flow sensors right here to monitor our liquid fertilizer for our 2x2. That's the fertilizer going through our conceal system. And I really like that system a lot. And so I have purchased a add-on kit. Got another set of these sensors, another wire harness that we need to add on. And we're going to put them on for our in-furrow fertilizer. The problem is going to be figuring out where and how to mount those sensors. Yeah, so we're going to have to tear a unit apart a little bit, look into that, and see what we're going to have to do. We might have to buy some quarter-inch tubing to extend these and move where this, or just take this connection point out, that coupler, and put our flow sensor in there. But I don't want it here down by this T-handle. I'd rather it be somewhere up higher. So we're going to figure that one out and look at stuff and try and get it at least close to installed today. If at all possible, I would love to get this out of the shop today, and the other plants are in the shop, but I don't know if that's possible. Okay, I think I have a plan on how we're going to install these. So I got this row one taken apart here so we could get to stuff. So essentially we have these lines coming off of our turrets, right? This is an exact rate system, and we've got these kind of flexible or pliable rubber lines coming off the turret. And I think at that planter clinic that I went to a couple weeks ago, they said something about how you got to have that cushiony line in there so that it can flex a little bit because of the pulsing and it modulates it somehow or something. I don't know. I don't want to replace the line going all the way back up to there. But those lines come off of there. They come down the side of the row unit here, and then there's a fitting right here. I thought that was a check valve, but I took one apart. And where did it go? Hold on, let me find it. Here it is. I left it on the end of the hose. It looks like a check valve, kind of, but it's not. If you can look down in there, which, turn the light on. It's just a hose, or hole. It's just a connector, essentially. So that does not have to stay in there. So that's right there, and that's a pretty darn good spot to put my little flow meter. So this flexible rubber hose, however, is 3/8. It has, or no, it's got quarter-inch hose barb, right? Looks like this. That was the connector that was in there. This end here, though, is 3/8 size, or I don't know if that's what it actually is. I don't know, but that's what fit into the end of this, right? Like that. That fits in there. Okay, so let me get one of the flow meters. So my thought was, well, I'll just take this push-to-connect fitting out from here, and it's push-to-connect on my flow meter. We'll just stick that right in there, right? Well, these are quarter-inch. This is 3/8. It doesn't fit. You're just gonna have to trust me because I don't have enough hands. It doesn't fit. These have a 3/8 fitting. That was kind of what I had asked for, but this is what we got. However, our line down here on the drop tubes down there is this one. This is quarter-inch line. That's quarter-inch. So this does fit directly into our flow meter on the output side. That's good. Ideally, we'd have a flow meter with a 3/8 input, 1/4 inch output. That would make everything fit perfect. We don't have that. That's okay. That's okay. Because what we do have is coming off of this line, we have this other harder but still flexible rubber hose that comes down and comes out right here. And look, here is where we are reducing from this 1/4 inch ID hose barb down to 1/4 inch OD hard plastic tube that goes down to the row unit. So we have a connector right here, and if you look real close, we have a hose barb that fits into that. What did I do with it? Oh, I took it out. So if I take that apart and I replace the one on the end of this hose with that hose barb that I took off from what was down here, then it slides into my flow meter, and all we have to do is get some new 1/4 inch tube to make it longer to come all the way up here, route it down through the hose clamps, and right down to our opener. So that's what I need. I need a roll of this tubing. I thought I had some. I know I don't have enough. I can't find the roll that I thought that I had, though, so I'll look around a little bit more, but we're gonna have to go find a roll of that and buy some. Anyway, then we can take our flow meter and zip tie that up right where this connector was before, and zip tie that in there. It's a nice clean look. It's a good spot for it. There's a nice bracket there for it to tie up to. We'll run our wires back up. They should stay out of the way. We eliminate some connections down here that on some of these were leaking last year. So I like that. Cleans it up a little bit, makes it a little bit nicer, and it gives us the metering functionality that I'm happy to have. So yeah, that's the plan. Now we just have to do it to all 24 rows. And I've got to find some of that tubing. So I might grab a section of that tubing, run to the hardware store. I got to run to the bank today anyway. Might as well just go and do that and get it done with. And then hopefully we can get this all installed today. I don't know if we're going to make that. Xander didn't show up this morning. I don't know. Maybe he'll still come. I don't know. I had to pay a fertilizer bill and go to the bank, and so we're not at the normal John Deere dealer. We went to the south here. We're in Archbold. I figure we might as well drive through their lot, see what kind of goodies they've got here. They got a lot of really, really nice gators over there. There's a 9RX 640, real nice tractor, 8R250. A couple off-brand ones here. A couple 620 quad tracks. There's a 335R, 7R290. That's a nice little tractor. Some smaller ones, 6M. Ooh, there's a nice spreader truck. Look at the tires on that thing, though. She's been used. Holy cow. Sprayer out here that we must be working on. A couple 2660s. I'd like to have one of those. They're expensive. Everything's expensive. Some stuff over there. Look at that. There's a Raptor strip till bar. 2030. Maybe if it's here in the fall, I'll see if they'll let me demo it. There's a little bit nicer spreader truck. A couple nice combines. S7800, S7800. Brand new. High-speed disc, 42 and a 32. Got another one they're setting up over here. We'll go around. Nice. All right, let's get back and work on our planter. One more quick stop, and we'll be back at the farm. Made it back into the shop here, and I think we have got a plan. I've got row one done with the, until we get the wire harness part installed. But so we're going to come off of our turret here with the hose that's existing. We're going to replace the fitting with the smaller one. So we're taking this one out that's got the bigger push to connect, and using the smaller push to connect that I have down here. And that's going into the top of our flow meter. I'm zip tying that flow meter up to that bracket. And then we are putting a new tube all the way down. I bought a 300-foot roll of that stuff from John Deere. It really wasn't as expensive as I thought it was going to be. So I needed half that, but I said, you don't have to measure it out. I'll just take the whole roll. We'll have plenty. Anyway, yeah, so that should work. We've got our hose routed and secured the way that it was. And then I've got the end secured down here in these drop tubes. Oh, I should put another zip tie in right there. Hold that. These are the drops that we're going to use for the in-furrow fertilizer this year. I've tried lots of different things. I did not like these the first year that we used them. Tried several other things the last 2 years. Those were all worse. So we're going back to this style. So it'll be okay. Well, I've got this process down pretty well here now. I've got the first 4 rows done, and I'm going to do another one. I'm going to film it start to finish, not only for you guys to see this, but Xander didn't come today, and I'm leaving again tomorrow, so he's going to have to figure this out the rest of the week, how to do it on his own. So I'm going to film it. He can watch this, understand how each row does, and then he can finish the rest of it because I want to get the backbone wire harness in while I'm here still today. Yeah, we got to get this run. There's some tricky stuff with where it pivots and folds that you got to make sure you're not stretching wires and stuff. So anyway, yeah, we'll film this one start to finish here. So first thing we're going to do, take the row unit apart. Obviously, we got to take off the vac hose, the seed delivery hose, undo the latch and take the meter off. Just set it down here out of the way. And then we need to pull the little cover off. Don't need to pull the brush belts, so we're not gonna do that. Next up, we're gonna start removing the old pieces. So let me grab side cut pliers right here. And we need to cut a couple of zip ties, mostly. So we need to disconnect it right here where this fitting is, up on the parallel arm. And if you come to the back side here, you can see that zip tie. We're just gonna snip that, okay? And that brings that loose. We don't need to cut this zip tie. We can open up that little door that lets that out. Sometimes I can slide the hose out of that zip tie. Sometimes you got to cut it. But then we're going to disconnect this here. Let me put my phone somewhere. Okay, so if you push down on this inside piece, then that will pull out of there. It takes that apart. You can also take this off. These are going on the bench. They're extra. Okay, so we got that apart there. We can pull this through this clamp. Like I said, if you can slide it out of that one, great. If you got to cut the zip tie, you cut the zip tie. It's not the end of the world. The tricky part is usually the piece on the end. Actually, you know what? Before we do that, this hose we're not reusing, and so I've been just using a knife to cut that to get this hose barb off of there. Let me, again, put my phone down so I don't cut myself. Okay, we do need this. Don't lose this. I'll set it down here for right now. Okay, now this hose should slide out of that zip tie because there's nothing on the end of it. Okay, and we've got that free. All right, so now we have moved up to the top here. Here's the piece that we cut the zip ties on to start with. And we need to get this apart. There's a push to connect fitting, just like the one on the bottom right here. Now this top hose is kind of stretchy and it's hard to do this. Plus these haven't been apart very much. So you gotta kind of keep working these around and pushing down on both sides. And I find it easiest to use a little screwdriver here to help push on that. Eventually you'll get it to start moving, maybe twist it a little bit. And then you can kind of work it back and forth side to side, and it will come. There. Okay. So now this we're done. We can just throw that on the ground. I got a pile of them over here. Now, we have to get this hose barb off, and there's a little metal band tie there. Best way I've found to get those off, take these big old lineman's pliers and cut that Coming at you. Cut that. And then you can peel the rest of this off. Okay. Now, this hose we are still using, and so I'm trying not to make them shorter, trying not to cut them. If you twist this a little bit, it starts to come sometimes. Ooh, that one might have a little leak in it. This one might get cut anyway. I'm going to get that off of there and then we'll see. But sometimes if you take this little flat screwdriver and you get in there and kind of peel it around a little bit, loosens it up, this comes out. This is also extra. It can go with that other piece on the bench. Okay. I don't think that's cut through. There's just a little snag on the end there that I was concerned about. But okay, now we go back and we get the original hose barb that we took off that's got the smaller end on it, and we're going to put that in there. Now, I don't have any of those little metal clamps. What I do have are some little zip ties. So we're going to take that little zip tie and put it on there as tight as possible. And that should be enough. There's no pressure on this line. It's open to the end, to the row, so there's no back pressure. So a zip tie should hold. We'll snip the excess. Okay. Now we come over here and get one of our flow meters. These have an arrow on them to indicate direction of flow. It goes towards the row unit. So the arrow's pointing towards my fingers. We need to put this up there just like that. I have some a little bit bigger zip ties that we're doing with that, or using for that. You can see on the back side here, you can see the holes. So if we take this zip tie, stick it through, where are we at? There we go. Come on. Stick it through there, and then fold it back around, put it down through the bottom one. Okay, so now we've got that here. And we need, let's see, we need that zip tie to go underneath the wires. I don't want to smash the wires. I want it to go underneath them, right? Like that. And then through the top. This zip tie's, oh no, it's got ridges on both sides. Interesting. Okay, let me put you. Okay. Oh no, that's why. Yeah, okay. So make sure your arrow's pointed down towards the bottom of the row. And then we gotta tighten this zip tie down. Try and keep it square, flat against that bracket. I haven't been able to get these super tight to the point where they don't wiggle around at all, but good enough. All right, can you see that? There. Okay, and we're going to take our hose with our barb in it. Push that in on the top side. Okay. Cut off our zip tie. All right, now we got to get the new hose. Actually, we're not quite ready for the new hose yet, so we've got to get the bottom part out of here yet. So we're going to cut the zip tie, holding it in the bottom there. Let's see if we can pull that out. Sometimes they come out easy, sometimes they don't. There we go. And now we can pull this down. Okay, I have some little pieces of some 3/8 stuff, bigger stuff, that I'm using to hold the bottom of these hoses because the little hose doesn't fit in there. It clamps tight and it still moves, and I don't want them pulling out because then they'll flop everywhere. So this is more or less just a spacer, but we need to save that. This we're done with. And then we take our new hose and let's see, where can I put you that you'll be able to see? Let's start here, but basically I'm coming up from underneath. We're not worrying about being inside any of the bracket or the zip ties, but we're coming up through the hole and up through this hole. Basically the same as the old ones that we took off were routed. And then we're going through this hose clamp. And then we're going through our zip tie that we pulled it out of earlier up here. Behind this box, underneath the top mounting bolt. So it comes through the back. And then, I know you can't see this, but that's just going to connect up here into our flow meter. Just like that. Now we got this clamp down here that we opened up before. We'll put that hose in there and close that up. And we got a little bit extra here, so I'm going to pull some of that back through. I don't want it super tight, but we don't want extra. Okay, so that feels routed pretty good. There you can see that zip tie we went through. That's not super tight. It's just kind of, I didn't tighten it at all. It's loose as the way it was, just holding it in place, not clamping it down. Okay, so now we've got to cut it. Got this little tubing cutter, and we're going to cut it about 3 or 4 inches below. If you hold it down just straight, about 3 or 4 inches below the bottom of the bracket. That's where we're trying to cut it. Nice and square, if at all possible. About, I don't know, like that. Okay. Now, you see that zip tie right there? If you can, we're trying to thread this through there. This is because corn is cheap, and I can't afford zip ties. Otherwise, you can just cut it and put a new zip tie on. But, you know, if you can slide it through there, like that, then I don't have to buy a new zip tie. Okay, so then you should end up with something like that. That's why we cut a little long, because I knew putting it in that one was going to take up some length. So then we stick this bigger tube on the end there. This is much easier when you can use 2 hands. I'm trying to stick it through until it's flush, basically, on the bottom. Not far enough. There, like that. It's also fairly important that we don't kink this hose, because a kink will alter the flow, change the diameter of it and how it works. So, and then we put that in that groove and grab another one of our small zip ties, and we stick it through the hole on the end. Come on. All the way through. Cinch that down. About like that. Trim it off. Okay. That is good. We'll get our hose out of the way. Put our cover back on. Get this hose out of the way. Come on. Everything's got to be difficult. Get our meter. We're good. Put our vac tube and seed tubes back on, and that one is done. Not too bad to do. Obviously, we've got to tie in the wiring side of it yet, but I'm going to work on running the wire harness. So, Xander, if you're here tomorrow or the rest of the week, I have the first 5 rows done. We'll see if I get any more today or not, but that's where we're at, and the rest of those need to go on. The flow meters are all here in this box. There's the tube is all there on the roll, and the zip ties are over here on the bench. All right, well, let's see if we can get this wire harness laid out. So this is the wet boom kit, because that's what we have, so it's not all in one spot, which means we have a longer wire harness. All of these connectors are labeled. This one happens to be row 14. So there's 4 of them that are kind of close to the center, and then we have this box here. And it attaches to what we put on last year. So we'll figure that out here shortly, but we're just trying to get this laid out approximately where everything goes. I believe the smaller one here that branches out into 4. Yeah, these are for the 4 center rows. And then these 2 here, one goes to the left side, one goes to the right side. Probably whichever one has the higher numbers goes that way. 10. Ooh, 15. Oh yeah, this is a big planter. Goes that way. Okay. Oh, we're gonna make our rat's nest of wires worse here, but that's part of the game, I guess. So right here is the new box. Somewhere or another, we have to plug these 2 wires in. Question is, where? Looks like we just take a wire harness apart and plug this in the middle. Is it that wire harness? Is it this wire? Oh, it's this one, I bet. That's the terminator right there. Yeah, I'm sure it's that one. Okay, let's see if we can figure this out. Okay, well, we plugged in our terminator there, and the other end of this into this wire that goes to the original box, and now we've got 2 of them. That should work. Now we just have to figure out where to get all of this stuff put in there and where it's not going to rub on anything and it's not going to pull apart. So, how fun. All right, I've got kind of the center relatively in place. We got the wing harness on this side fed through to here. It's really nice because we did this last year, so we've got a harness here that we're basically just piggybacking and stacking it right on top of, which I think was one we followed last year when we did this as well. But we don't have to find our own path. We just follow what's already there. So I got that side through to there. I got the back 4 rows kind of just hanging out here reasonably close to where they go. We're going to need a whole bunch of zip ties after we get all this in place and make sure that everything is good. But we also are going to have to make sure we remember that these move, and where we are putting our flow sensors here, they move. And so we're going to need some flex in there. Now, it is in the full down position right now, right? So when we go into plant mode, these parallel arms are going to raise up, which will make our wire distance shorter, not longer. So as long as we have it so that it's not pulling on it when it's down, should be fine, but we do need to keep that in mind. So I got this side started here as well, coming through this clamp, and this is the one right over the pivot, so that's the kind of important one. We have to figure out what to do with all that excess and get it pulled up in there or whatever, and then we're through to here, and now we just got to keep running it all the way down. Okay, we got these wires all stretched. I have not secured anything, but they're all hanging at least by the row that they need to go to. So we'll have to put some more, draw it back into the center a little bit. The wires were just a little bit longer than we needed, which is better than shorter than we needed. Yeah, these first 5 that I've got installed, we can try and figure out how exactly we're going to route them and hook them up to the flow meters. So I'm going to work on that now. Well, this feels pretty clean. I zip tied the wire, kind of looped it and zip tied to the parallel arm, so that'll move with everything. And then we connected it here, and there's one of these clips that comes open. So I was able to just stick the wires in there, and then we added a zip tie up to the top, and I think that's going to work. So, cool. All right, well, we made some progress on the planner here today. All right, guys, well, at least we got one good video out this week. I'm taking off just a little early today. I'm heading to Texas in the morning, so we're heading down to Commodity Classic. Yeah, so hopefully Xander gets a chance to get here the rest of the week or sometime this week and finish up some of what we were doing. Yeah, is what it is. If it's not done when I get back, we'll do it when I get back. So also when we get back next week, it's going to be time to start thinking about treating some beans, getting some seed delivered, all of that kind of stuff. So things are going to get real busy here real fast. But thanks for watching this one. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. If you are going to be at Commodity this week, feel free to say hi. If you see me, I'll be one of the least famous YouTubers there. So yeah, hoping to just hang out. I got some stuff going on, I know, tomorrow and Wednesday, and then Thursday, and I'm coming back Friday, but Thursday will be wide open, just kind of hanging out at the show, and most of the day on Wednesday as well. So yeah, have a great rest of your week. I'll try and do a live stream from down there at some point, and I will try and make a video from the show. I know John Deere's got a big product release. This is a really good show that has a lot of good stuff. So I don't know if it'll be my typical farm show, just walk around and show you what I see, or if we'll actually get some people on camera. Maybe some of the other social media people will want to say hi. So anyway, thanks for watching this one. We'll see you next time. Have a great week.